Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we are back again with another rank 4 6-star showcase, and this time it is the Hood. And it seems like no matter how many of these I upload, I kind of fall further and further behind because I do have a whole bunch waiting as well. So this one isn't going to be too long. It's about 11 minutes a long clip that has been edited together, courtesy to Luiz. Thank you very much. He actually reached out to me on Twitter. And that is how we are able to show you this gameplay and the clip here. So, first off, we're starting with the Winter Soldier fight. And the Hood now with his, hex bullet mechanic is a fairly straightforward champion when it comes to damage dealing. You basically want to get as many bullets on opponent as possible. And then you want to heavy them. And then there's going to be a big burst of damage. Obviously, Hood now has quite a lot of interesting mechanics. His phase is working differently, which you do want to utilize as much as you can in order to recover as many bullets as possible. And on top of all of that, Hood has some of the best buff control in the game because you are able to keep that Fate Seal up from level 2 for a really long amount of time. And you have Stagger. And, all of that adds up for a very, very generous buff control. There's a bit of power control, there's a bit of regen, nothing too crazy, but I do like that he has like these little tidbits of utility, like bleed on level 3s and shock on level 1. There's also a stun associated with that shock expiring, but obviously in this case none of that utility is going to really come to shine. It's much more about getting all of those bullets loaded up in your chamber, getting as many of them as possible reloaded, and then going for that big burst of damage there. So here, Winter Soldier is at 52 bullets loaded up. He's going to trigger his invisibility. That's kind of the key playing Hood. If opponent doesn't have many buffs, you do want to consistently trigger that invisibility as much as possible, and you also want to force your opponent to miss as frequently as possible in order to regain more and more bullets. Here you can see that this invisibility duration gave him 7 bullets load up in his chamber. And at this point, he's up to 70 bullets on Winter Soldier. So that is going to be a quite large amount of burst damage. I'm not entirely sure even if 70, well, if he needs that many. But Hood is one of those champions, one of those Mystic champions that actually handles Liquid Courage, Double Edge, and Recoil Mastery quite well as well, in my opinion. Because there are those tidbits of healing that he gets when the staggers expire, but this is going to be a big burst of damage. So he has 78. I think it's going to be a bit too much. I think at this point it's already too much, but let's take a look. Yeah, that was, I think, overkill. So I think that was about 280,000. Yeah, it was 280,000 burst damage, which would account for, well, no, actually it was pretty much spot on, half of Winter Soldier's health. So there we are. So that was the Winter Soldier fight and 280k detonation. Next up, we're going to be going up against the Stealth Suit SpiderMan, a champion that does not necessarily inherently get any buffs, but obviously there is a class advantage involved as well. And let's see how he does. Oh, this is that 7.4 node that every time you strike the opponent, they gain armor up buff, and then whenever they use special attack, they gain a fury buff. And obviously Hood is going to be able to deal with this lane exceedingly well as well, because that level 2 that he's going to throw is just going to immediately nullify all the buffs anyhow. Fate Seal is going to prevent new buffs from triggering, and all of those buffs being there in the first place is just going to mean that you're going to get a ton of bullets and you will never run out. If I have one criticism about Hood, it is that his bullets are persistent. I would just kind of wish him start every fight with the 28 bullets, and I'd be much, much, much happier. That is like one of the most annoying things ever. If your bullets run out, then you kind of lose the teeth of the animal, of the champion. But let's see how he does here. And the heavy attack again detonated for like 200 something k damage. And nearly finished off the fight. Finishes it comfortably with 40 bullets loaded up for the next fight, and obviously the next fight is also gonna be very easy to recover those bullets. But yeah, I do personally like Hood. I have a rank 3 6-star myself, and I actually use him quite frequently. One of the main reasons is because he does not necessarily require you to have Mystic Dispersion in order to be effective. He doesn't require a specific mastery setup. He works with Liquid Courage Double Edge, he works without Liquid Courage Double Edge, and the buff control definitely is very impressive there. And all of that comes on top of the fact that he has really valuable synergies with Kingpin and with Ghost, and that alone kind of often brings him to your team and lets him put in work as well. And Hood, I think at the moment, it's somehow, some way, has already slid into that underrated Mystic category, in my opinion. He's definitely much more capable than a lot of people give him credit for, and that's why it is awesome to see rank 4 Hood gameplay. Now here, seemingly he did mess up, however, because that Vulture has a level 3 active, and he did not manage to power drain it either, so he have to eat that level 3 there. He goes for detonation with a heavy attack, which is fine. He goes for his level 2, stacks up a bunch more bullets, but obviously that Incinerate for level 3 is starting to put in some work, which can be annoying. Now we can see that fairly long stun upon the expiry of the shock, but the fight is going to be almost over, so we can definitely see a mishap here with Hood. His power control at times can definitely be extremely useful, but the worst thing about it is it's kind of RNG based, and that can be somewhat annoying. However, whenever it does work actively, and it's a form of power steal that lets you steal opponent's power, thus lets you get to your level 2s quicker. And I have seen some very impressive stuff with 6-star Hoods around as well, especially when they're high sig. You can basically make sure that you spend entire fight in that invisibility mode. And obviously having the phase and having an ability to, you know, guaranteed phase through opponent's hits, you can also, you know, kind of have that ghost-like playstyle at times. Obviously, it's not as convenient to re-trigger those invisibilities. You either need throw off level 2s or you need dash back and hold block. But still, the fact that you can get, you know, effectively an assisted, safe, guaranteed intercept by just letting opponent dash in at you and then punishing that and finding openings in similar ways like that is genuinely beneficial in my opinion. And I do like champions who have that kind of like extra edge when it comes to fulfilling these node requirements that we see more and more often. You have to intercept to do damage, or you have to intercept to remove the protection and stuff like that. Here we can see that Cordus at this point is going to go to Wayside as well. So as we can see, we have made it through well over half of the video already, so we do not have too many fights left. Next one is going to be against Green Goblin here, and again, typically Hood against Green Goblin would not necessarily be the best matchup. However, just down to the fact that opponents are going to be gaining so many buffs here, it's going to work just fine. On top of that, it's worth mentioning that this lane does have Mystic Protection as well, as in like you have your Nullify ability, accuracy reduction, or opponents gain power whenever you nullify their buffs or something like that. But we can see that Hood can kind of deal with it well enough either way, and here he's going to go for that level 2, and yes, opponent does gain a bunch of power, but as long as you get that level 2 off early enough, it doesn't push them to 3 bars of power, and you're pretty much safe. And then from that point forward, you can basically cycle your level 2s to prevent opponents from gaining power, gaining buffs in the first place. Here we can see again, opponent got 2 armor up buffs, and they immediately got taken away with that level 2. The level 2 is amazing for Hood, definitely. I kind of wish his level 1 kind of sometimes maybe did a little bit more, but level 2 is definitely the bread and butter of this champion. Now he has 33 bullets loaded up on the Green Goblin, so he's going to try and get a few more, I suppose. Here we can see a perfect example of that power steal, taking away Green Goblin's power, giving some of that back to Hood. And considering that Green Goblin has those pesky abilities that lower your combat power rate, these power steal moments are genuinely useful. Here I think he thought he's probably going to have a level 2 active, and he just used that special attack a tiny bit too early. It was a slither below 2 bars power. But here we can see him benefiting from that stun from level 1, detonating his charges, and then finishing off the fight with level 2. So very smooth finish there. And let's see what's at the end of this clip here. We have Venom, and Venom obviously should be pretty much a dream matchup, a perfect matchup for majority of the Mystic champions. Also, I wanted to point out that over the course of last few fights, we can see that he actually has regenerated several percent of his health as well. So he is regening some health back thanks to his fate seals expiring or just going away. I'm not entirely sure how it's meant to work, as I do know that there has been some sort of issues with Hood's fate seal and regen in past. But here we can see that he definitely is capable of, you know, netting some health back, and that is one of the things that kind of help him be relatively good with Liquid Courage Double Edge Masteries at times. And now we have Venom with 16 bullets loaded up and 72% health. So obviously he will have to try and get a few more bullets in, well, hex bullets fired at Venom before he tries to detonate them for a nice and big finish. So we're going up to 24, and it is quite quick to build them up as well. Obviously, Hood is not necessarily the quickest finisher in the game, but he's definitely no slouch either, especially because, you know, you effectively spend 90% of the fight, you know, chipping down the opponent to about half health, and then the second half of the opponent just gets exploded immediately. So to a degree, you kind of half the duration of those fights just by detonating the bullets if you have played correctly. That is about it that I will show from Hood. So again, huge thank you to Luiz over here for sending us the gameplay footage. I hope you guys liked Rank 4 6-star Hood showcase. I know that there are some mega fans for the Hood out there. And that being said, as I said, this one's going to be a bit shorter video, and I will be back with another one shortly. So see you later. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about